We're going to give our full slate predictions episode on Mania week as we lead into that, as we get the actual match card, because as of right now, we are just over 2 weeks away. You could say 3 weeks, but it's really 2.5. 7 confirmed matches so far. So WWE has a lot of work to do between now and then to finish this match card. Now, there are a couple matches that we know are going to get made that haven't been made yet. There's a couple additions, right? We know Rhea Ripley, some way, shape, or form, is going to get inserted into the match with Io Sky and Bianca Belair. So it's not going to take much for them to add these matches to the card. But as of right now, 7 confirmed matches where we've seen the graphic. It's been made official by whether that be Triple H, Adam Pearce, Nick Aldis, all of them. 7 of them. With that, I have 3 bold predictions for WrestleMania 41. You let me know in the comment section. Is it too bold? Is it not bold enough? Do you think this is something that could happen, or am I way out of left field and completely misreading the situation? The first one is one that I think a lot of people are going to think I'm misreading the situation, and it has everything to do with the feud and the match between Drew McIntyre and Damian Priest. When all is said and done, and night 2 comes to a close, fade to black, I think McIntyre Priest will have been one of the top 3 builds and matches that we get this WrestleMania season, which is crazy considering how many people have been so upset that this is the program that Drew McIntyre got for WrestleMania 41. But it's one of the best that they've done. The story is one of the best that they've done. And you're telling me that these 2 guys couldn't put on a banger of a match? We've seen them put on really solid matches over the past year, and that has been part of this story. And that's why this is one of the best builds that we have gotten this entire Mania season, because it's long game. That's always the best, when they can bring back Easter eggs and they can bring back feuds based on something that happened, because as Sam Roberts says, everything counts. Always. Nothing gets expired. Everything you see on WWE television, it counts for something. And this is a prime example of that. Damian Priest, for the past calendar year, has been profiting off of Drew McIntyre's misfortune. And the Scottish psychopath, he's tired of it. And I would be too. You look at Damian Priest, where he is right now, and where he was a year ago going into WrestleMania 40. He was a tag champ. A tag champ that was about to lose both of his belts. That's what he was. Now, the most important thing is, he was Senior Money in the Bank. And that's where this story begins. Because Damian Priest has ascended to the main event level at the expense of everything that Drew McIntyre has been working towards. WrestleMania 40, 5 minutes, 26 seconds. Damian Priest wins the world title off of a beaten and battered Drew McIntyre, who was not ready for a match. Clash at the Castle. CM Punk screws Drew McIntyre. Who benefits? And still, your world heavyweight champion, Damian Priest. Same thing at Money in the Bank. And then you fast forward. They separate for a little bit. Drew finishes his feud with CM Punk, loses it in a big way, gets his head busted open, needs countless stitches because he's bleeding all over the place, and takes some time off because he needed it. Comes back and says, you know what? I'm going to win the Royal Rumble, get back on track, and do what I did last year and win the world title. Damian eliminates Drew in the Rumble. Damian then eliminates Drew in the Elimination Chamber. And all of a sudden, Drew McIntyre has the realization that, man, I've been focused on Punk. I've been focused on the bloodline. And all the meanwhile, this guy is profiting off of it and taking advantage of me when my back's turned. Well, it's time. I need to finally turn my attention to Damian and get rid of the biggest thorn in my side this entire year. Drew is continuing to do the best work of his career. And this is nothing short of that, right? His feud with CM Punk was great. His inclusion in the Rollins, Rhodes, Reigns, Rock storyline last year was great. This is that as well. And the thing is, I think Priest wins. I think Priest wins. I think this is a top 3 match at Mania. And I think because of that, losing that match and not being able to get over the guy that he thinks is only in that position because he screwed him over, losing that match will drive Drew McIntyre to sell out to The Rock. We've been speculating, is this just John Cena? The Rock has had his 3 fingers, 2 fingers, 1 finger, all of it. Is there more people that are going to sell out to The Rock and become this authority type faction? I think Drew's one of them. I think with Priest, with Punk, with Rollins running wild and all getting the upper hand on him over the past year, I think he's going to lose it. And he is going to be one of the best people to follow after this year's WrestleMania. And I think it's going to be in large part due to the work that they're going to do over the next couple of weeks and the work that they're going to do at WrestleMania 41. Second bold prediction involves the mega triple threat that we will see at WrestleMania 41 Night 1 main event. Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, and CM Punk. The last 2 weeks, they've really turned up the heat. Yeah, there are little facts, figures, little drops, little breadcrumbs here and there that have been good. The Royal Rumble, what we saw, Elimination Chamber, what we saw between Rollins and Punk, Madison Square Garden. Yeah, that was great. But the last 2 weeks on SmackDown is really where this has turned up and really where this has turned into a premier main event level feud. The pull apart brawl 2 weeks ago, well done. You don't need to do that again though, right? You did the pull apart brawl. They all pointed the WrestleMania sign and Triple H made it official in less than 10 minutes after the show. Last week, picture perfect contract signing. The word cinema has been thrown around pretty much too much over the last couple of years when it comes to WWE. But if there ever was something that you could call cinema in wrestling, it was the contract signing last week. And guess what it didn't need? It didn't need somebody to flip the table and start punching. It didn't need somebody to put somebody through a table because it was all done through storytelling. And that is why, bold prediction, this mega triple threat will be an all-time great match. Last week, we learned that they're going to start putting matches and moments into the WWE Hall of Fame. Instant Hall of Fame matchup. That's what we're going to see on night 1 of WrestleMania 41. The story that they can tell. And I'm not saying anything that you probably don't already know, but the Reigns and Rollins history is decade plus long that they are going to include in here. They're going to put Easter eggs in here. They are going to tell that story, the disdain between two brothers that no longer have any faith in each other, any trust in each other. Rollins and Punk, that history is a decade plus long. They've been telling it over the beginning of 2025. That will continue. Seth Rollins crashed out for the simple fact that CM Punk gets the main event WrestleMania, when even in that instance, it's Seth Rollins getting his second main event at WrestleMania. That means something. And he says, I don't care that I get the main event 2 years in a row. I'm more upset that that guy gets to live out his dream. That's going to be included in this. And the biggest one that we saw last week, and why I think that was cinema on Friday Night SmackDown, Reigns is concerned about the favor. We've always asked, what is this favor that Paul Heyman owes to CM Punk? Is Roman Reigns concerned about it? Well, yeah. Last week, we saw it, because whenever Paul Heyman knelt down and kissed CM Punk on the forehead and said, you will be a WrestleMania main eventer, Roman Reigns' reaction was, one man's dream is another man's favor, and said, check, done. Me and my wise man can move past this. And what is the last thing you saw on Friday? CM Punk thanking the tribal chief for putting him in position to main event WrestleMania, and also telling him, but that's not the favor. And Roman looked pissed. He looked absolutely pissed. And that is going to be a huge, huge part of this WrestleMania main event. And let's not forget, this is two of the best in-ring competitors that we have in their prime. And that is Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns. They're two of the best right now in the industry. So in-ring work, it's going to be great. Storytelling-wise, it's going to be great. In-ring-wise, Punk is not a slouch either. Yeah, he's a little bit long in the tooth, but at the same time, he's put on some pretty damn good matches in 2025 so far. And I guarantee you, in the ring with these two, In his first WrestleMania main event, he's going to leave it all out there. So I will say this is going to be an all-time great match. And I'll go one further here. This will be the most memorable Mania match since WrestleMania 31, 10 years ago, when Seth Rollins cashed in Money in the Bank to beat Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar. Better than both Cody matches, better than anything we've seen in that time span. I think this one takes the cake. Better than John Cena versus Cody Rhodes. I think this one will just be a little bit more elevated. And that's why I really, really am excited for April 19th to see how this all shakes out. And the last one, involving one of these three men. Last WrestleMania 41 bold prediction. Roman Reigns will get involved in the Night 2 main event between John Cena and Cody Rhodes. I'd love to see Cena versus Rhodes straight up 1v1 WrestleMania main event, no outside interference, no Rock, no Travis Scott, no Roman Reigns, no Jey Uso, no Randy Orton, no Kevin Owens, none of that. We saw it last year where everybody and their mother, they emptied the locker room for the WrestleMania main event last year. Undertaker was out there. John Cena was out there. Solo Sikoa was out there. The Usos were out there. They emptied the locker room. Everybody who was ever part of this feud for 2 milliseconds on TV, they got involved. I would love to see a straight up 1v1 match this year for the world title, but we're not going to get that. The Rock is still a factor. We haven't seen or heard from him since Elimination Chamber. That's not going to sustain. His souls are a factor. John Cena sold his soul to The Rock, but maybe he's not the only one. What did we talk about earlier this segment? Drew McIntyre losing to Damian Priest at Mania. Drew McIntyre also saying last week on a podcast, there might be something coming between him and The Rock, and it's going to be big, but that's all he can say. Maybe that plays a role in Night 2 main event. Cody's allies have been stripped away. Kevin Owens turned on him. Jey Uso has his hands full with Gunther, who just essentially assaulted, and it looked like he killed him, but he really bloodied up Jimmy Uso. So Jay's not going to help out Cody. Sammy's been taken out by Kevin. He hasn't been seen since Elimination Chamber. Randy Orton has KO at Mania, so he has his hands full, but he also looked at Cody and said, listen, you get through Mania, Cena might have kicked you in the balls. I'm coming straight at your head. I'm coming straight for you, but I'll do it in front of your face. So Randy's not going to come out there for him. So if The Rock gets involved, who's got Cody's back? Well, maybe it's a relationship out of necessity. Maybe it's somebody who I still have a hard time believing didn't take exception to The Rock choosing John Cena and then Cody Rhodes before him to be his guy, to be his champion. Roman Reigns is blood. Roman Reigns is family. The Rock put up the damn family tree before WrestleMania 40 and said, this is everything to me. And then he goes and chooses Cody Rhodes, who denies him inevitably. And then he chooses John Cena over Roman Reigns, who just finished up a 1,300-day world title reign, the longest that we have seen in the modern era. Yeah, something tells me that Roman might be the guy to come out and say, enough of this, to start their storyline for WrestleMania 42 between Roman and The Rock. Because let's face it, when The Rock started getting involved in this WrestleMania build, it was on an Instagram story where he simply said, instead of one day, it's day one. And today is day one of something that I've always said that I want to do someday, but I'm going to start doing today. That wasn't stealing the soul of John Cena. That's not what he's always wanted to do. What he's always wanted to do was main event WrestleMania with his cousin, Roman Reigns. And that story can't be told in 2 weeks, 2 months. Shoot, that story could probably be told in 2 years. But with the next thing happening being The Rock coming out and announcing in New Orleans that WrestleMania 42 is in New Orleans, and then starting this long story where he's taking souls, where he's grabbing champions, and he's starting to become a delineator instead of somebody that needs to go into the ring. He can say, I have John Cena, I have Drew McIntyre, I have, maybe, who knows, Randy Orton. And they can do my bidding for me. I could see Roman, who all of a sudden is a sympathetic tweener, where he's still not a babyface, but he is widely adored. And eventually we all expect him to become the babyface that is right up there next to Cody Rhodes. Relationship out of necessity. We saw it at Bad Blood. Roman wants his title back, but Roman being shunned by a family member might take the cake on that one. That's why instead of going after the title immediately, he had to go back and get the Ula Fala from Solo Sikoa. After he's done with his triple threat match and his business is done with CM Punk and Seth Rollins in Mania weekend, maybe he turns his attention to The Rock and what he's been doing with John Cena. So that's my last bold prediction here, is that Roman Reigns will get involved in the Night 2 main event of WrestleMania 41 between Cody Rhodes and John Cena. Let me know in the comments. Am I way off base on these? The three that I have are Roman getting involved with Rhodes versus Cena, the triple threat involving Roman Reigns, as well as Seth Rollins and CM Punk will be an all-timer, and Drew McIntyre versus Damian Priest, when all is said and done, will be a top 3 matchup and top 3 feud this WrestleMania season.